I'm constantly trying to talk myself around to calm, and sometimes, for brief and beautiful moments, I do. But the hard, cold truth is that every time the night comes, it seems blacker than it did before. Tonight, I'm teetering on the edge of something horrific. Tonight, the sound of my baby's cry might just be the thing that breaks me altogether. I'm scared of so many things these days, but most of all now, I fear myself.
1. Beth, 1996.
What's the place? You know, where is the place? What, today? No, it's now. The place.
Dad babbles an endless stream of words that don't quite make sense as I push his wheelchair through his front door. My brother Tim and I exchange a glance behind his back, and then we share a resigned sigh. Our father's speech sounds coherent enough if you don't listen too closely. The rhythms of it are still right, and his tone is clear. It's the words themselves he can't quite grasp these days. And the more upset he gets, the less sense he makes. The fact that he's all but speaking gibberish today actually makes a lot of sense, but it's still all kinds of heartbreaking. The grandfather clock in the kitchen has just chimed 5 p.m. I'm officially late to pick my son up from my mother-in-law's house, and Dad was supposed to be at the nursing home 2 hours ago. We were determined to give him the dignity to leave his house on his own terms, and this morning Dad made it very clear that he wanted to be left alone in his room to pack for the move. Tim and I promised one another we'd be patient, and for 4.5 hours, we were patient. He pottered around the backyard doing overdue yard work, weeding the chaos around the bases of the conifers, scooping up the pine cones, reshaping the hedge that's run completely amok. Dad's house is in Bellevue, east of Seattle. Over the last little while, he's been too ill to tend his own yard, and we've confirmed my long-held suspicion that nature would entirely swallow up the manicured gardens in this region within just a few months if humans disappeared. While Tim tried to wrangle some order back to the gardens outside, I vigorously mopped the polished floors, vacuumed the carpet in the bedrooms, and sorted the fresh food in Dad's fridge to distribute among my siblings. But every time I stuck my head through Dad's bedroom door, I found him sitting on his bed beside his mostly empty suitcase. At first, he was calm and seemed to be thoughtfully processing the change that was coming. He wears this quiet, childlike smile a lot of the time now, and for the first few hours, that smile was firmly fixed on his face, even as he looked around, even as he sat in silence. As the hours passed, though, the suitcase remained empty, save for a hat and 2 pairs of socks.
I can't. Where is the...
He started looking around his room, searching desperately for something he couldn't name, let alone find. He kept lifting his right hand into the air, clenched in a fist. We couldn't figure out what he wanted. Dad couldn't figure out how to tell us, and the more he tried, the more out of breath he became, until he was gasping for air between each confused, tortured word. The innocent smile faded from his face, and his distress gradually turned to something close to panic. Tim helped him back into his wheelchair and pushed him to the living room, sitting him right in front of the television, playing one of his beloved black and white movies on the VCR to distract him. I stayed in the bedroom, sobbing quietly, as I finished the packing my father obviously just couldn't manage. This morning, Dad understood that he was moving to the nursing home, and although he'd made it clear he didn't want to go, he seemed to understand that he had to. This afternoon, he's just lost, and I can't bear much more of this. I'm starting to rush, Dad, because I've finally accepted that we need to get this over and done with. I guess after a day of getting nowhere, I'm ready to resort to the rip the Band-Aid off approach, to admitting him to hospice care. I push his wheelchair quickly away from the door, down the ramp my sister Ruth built over the concrete stairs.